2005 Toyota Land Cruiser HDJ 101. This has the 1 HD FTE engine, and customer complaint is an ABS fault. I'm at my friend's garage and I'm working on this here. So let's see what it does. This has 164,688 kilometers on the clock, and this car has been taken care of very well. When I see cars like this, it causes me to work with even more care. Customers should learn that when they present cars looking like this, we respond by taking care of it even more. At least I do. So let's see what the car is doing. Has an ABS fault, and impressive for a vehicle 2005, it still has the height control working. Amazing. This is beautiful. So we do have the diff lock light on. I don't know if that's because the diff lock is off or not, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for our ABS. So what you said is that this car drives very well, but occasionally what you get is a buzzing sound, which you feel on the pedal as well, and then the pedal goes rock hard and you lose power braking. Then the ABS light comes on. Then when the ABS light goes off, you drive fine again. Right now the ABS light is on, so let's take out our text stream and scan this computer and see what codes it has. This is our full scan. We have a few codes. I'm only interested in the ABS, and we have a C1253 and C1254. So that's hydro booster pump motor relay, and that is current, and that's second one is pressure sensor or switch, and that is also current. So malfunction is currently present, and malfunction is currently present. Okay, next what I want to do is to go into my service manual and then see what definitions are on these two codes. So before we read this, let me tell you how this table is laid out. This column has got the code number. This column shows the system of concern or area of concern, and this third column here shows the diagnostic details, and it is listed 1, 2, and 3. So 1 will be the diagnostic conditions under which the code is set. 2 will be the abnormal condition that code is set, and 3 will be the period that exists in that abnormal condition that code is set. So for our code, we have C1253, and that is the motor relay system abnormality. And it says up here, the coil is disconnected for either MR1 or MR2. So that's the relay coil. And then number 1, the diagnostic condition is after turning the ignition switch on. 2, which is the abnormal condition, is the relay coil is disconnected. And 3, the abnormal period is 0.2 seconds or more. Then this just says that you test MR2 and MR1 with ground. So this has to do with the relays for the ABS system. You have got 2 relays, MR1 and MR2, and if they're disconnected for 0.2 seconds or more, this code is set. Then we have got a second diagnostic condition here, So that diagnostic condition, number 1, is when the motor drive is not controlled by the pressure switch. And then number 2, which is the abnormal condition, the motor relay is always on. And number 3, which is the period, it says for 1 second or more. This code is also set when your motor is not supposed to be on, but it is on for 1 second or more. All right, now the third condition which this code is set, number 1, which is the diagnostic condition, is the pressure switch pH is determining low pressure or performing additional control. Then number 2, which is the abnormal condition, the motor relay does not turn on. 3, which is the abnormal period, 0.2 seconds or more. So this basically is saying that there is a pressure switch, and that pressure switch is supposed to read low pressure, but when it reads low pressure, it's supposed to turn on the relay. When it reads low pressure and it turns on the relay, and the relay does not turn on for 0.2 seconds or more, this code is set. Then our final code setting criteria is here. Number 1, which is the diagnostic condition, it says here, when the motor drive by pressure switch is not being controlled, but there is control to the motor. Then number 2, the abnormal condition is the motor relay is being turned on. Number 3, abnormal period is 0.2 seconds or more. So this one basically means that the hydraulic motor is meant to be controlled by the pressure switch. It turns on while the pressure switch is not in control of it. Then this code is set. So this code simply has to do with the hydraulic motor. Now let's go to our next code, which is C1254. Here it says pressure switch abnormality. Then it has only 2 conditions which it is set. The first one, the diagnostic condition, is after you turn on the ignition switch. 2, the abnormal condition is that the pressure switch, PL, is either disconnected or shorted to ground. And then 3, the abnormal period is 0.1 seconds or more. So the first code setting criteria here is when you turn on the ignition switch and the computer detects that the pressure switch is disconnected or shorted to ground for 1 second or more, this code is set. Second code setting criteria. Number 1, diagnostic condition, is after turning the ignition switch on. 2, abnormal condition is when the pressure switch, pH, is disconnected. Number 3, 4.1 second or more. Basically, it's the same as the first one. All right, so now we go to the wiring diagram. I want to see where this hydraulic motor is. I'm interested in the control for the hydraulic motor relays, and this pressure switch. All right, now wiring diagram. Let's go to the system schematic. And ABS is with VSC, without VSC. This car does not have VSC. Okay, so this is my wiring diagram. Here are my 2 relays, ABS MTR1 relay and ABS MTR2 relay. There's a third relay for solenoids, but that is not our area of concern. So these relays get their power feed from the 40 amp ABS relay number 2, and they are controlled by MR1 and MR2, and the control side is given a power R1 and R2 from the ABS computer itself. Good to know. Now, when they are turned on, you send power down these 2 legs, and it comes to the ABS actuator and hydro brake booster, and there is a motor in that unit. The power comes on J3 and L2, and they're connected together. So these are redundant lines, and The reason why they are there is because if this motor fails while you're on the highway, you're going to lose braking completely. This is not a conventional brake boosting system like you have in most cars where you have a vacuum brake booster. On that one, you can still brake while you do not have assisted braking. This one, you can still brake, but it's going to be extremely difficult. So you dare not lose this motor while you're driving. That's why you have two lines. And I can see here there's a motor sense line. So this is supposed to sense the power to this motor over here. And then you've got empty positive on this side. Looks like it senses the ground side here. So it always wants to see a ground. Now my bet is there is a bias voltage on this side, and if that bias voltage is not pulled to ground, then it will sense that the ground is disconnected. Very nice setup. I like it. So what we're going to do is come here to MR2 and MR1, and what I want to do is probe here, find out whether we have control of these two relays. Then there is our pressure switch. From our diagnostic information, they were talking about terminal PL. Now here I'm seeing PL and PH. Going by how Toyota do their coding, I know this is pressure low and this is pressure high. And these are switches that are supposed to turn on when the pressure is not achieved. So this switch remains on when the pressure is low and then goes off when the pressure is high. This, on the other hand, should remain off when the pressure is low and turn on when the pressure is high. Right now we are concerned about low pressure, so I'm going to take another probe and put it here on PL. Then we're going to put the key on and see what we have. Now before I do anything, I just want to see if these codes are hard faults or they were set by someone. He did tell me that he had removed the hydraulic control unit because they wanted to replace it under the instructions of the owner, but he took a pause when he found out that the unit costs about 90,000 shillings, and that's when he called me. Good choice. So keys on. Let us go back to our trouble codes here, and let me clear these DTCs. And it seems like they are hard faults. I have dropped my ABS unit down. This ABS unit lives right up here in the dash. So what you have to do is to take off this cover here and remove this duct that comes here. There's also another duct that goes across. Now this car was in immaculate condition. It is a first Land Cruiser 100 that I have opened, and this area has never been opened. So I have taken extra precautions so that I return this as stock as possible. One thing I see always damaged is this. This is your thermistor, which is your thermometer for the AC. People normally break this. You're supposed to lift the tab up and lift the tab at the bottom, and then carefully detach this from the knee panel cover. And then the other thing you should do is be very careful with your screws. These screws always get lost or get misplaced, or they get swapped around. So normally what I do is label them, put them in separate envelopes, and I make sure that all my covers go back exactly as they were. Just take an extra step and do this. Trust me, your memory is not as good as you think it is. So there is the ABS computer that is dropped. The tilt computer will be in your way, and the tilt computer is for tilting this up and down. You're supposed to remove the tilt computer first, lay it on the side, which is here. That's the tilt computer, and then you get your ABS. So channel 1, I have my MR1 control. Channel 2, MR2 control. Channel 3 is my pressure switch, which is basically a pressure sensor in the hydraulic unit. So we're going to put the key on and turn on the Pico and see the readings that we have. Here's our Pico. Start the scope, and we're going to put our key on. Key is on. And we had control of the relay, and the relays are off right now. Start the car. Relays are still off. Depress the brake. So there's my brake. I'm just depressing it. There, the motor has turned on. I'm not seeing much movement in my pressures. I think that's our issue. So our issue is not the relay itself, or the two relays, but our issue is the pressure switch. This pressure switch has no movement. So let me go to the service manual, and I want to see what reading this pressure switch is supposed to have. So here in the service manual, you usually get the readings from the I/O page, input output. So here it is. You check PL and you check it against ground, and this is an input. So it says here, ignition switch off, pump the brakes about 40 times, and then you put the ignition switch on. Then what should happen is this voltage should change from 5 to 7 volts down to 1 volt. So I think what will happen is when you pump it up, you will fill up that reservoir with hydraulic fluid, and then when you turn it on, the relays should turn on, and as it turns on, the pressure should dip down to 1 volt. But there's something I don't like here. I could have sworn that this voltage was more than 7 volts. I just want to check that right now. Let me put the key on. So there, the key is on. I just want to measure. Pause this, and I want to measure my voltage here. This voltage is 10.3 volts. This tells me that we have an open in that pressure switch. But let me do the test that they tell us to do. I'm going to run the scope again. Okay, so first step is we put the key off. Then we're going to pump our brakes 40 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I had it change there. Then let's put the key on. Key is on. The motor is on. I can hear it. And as you can see, pressure is not changing whatsoever. And that motor is on. Let me go in front. And you can hear that the motor is on. Alright, so I've come here and I wanted to probe my pressure sensor from this connector, and I just pulled it and it just came out. This connector had not been connected in all the way. So let's do that. And this connector doesn't seem to want to latch. All right, something is up with this connector. It doesn't want to go in. Now, I don't know whether this is a problem that was induced by the person who was changing the unit, or this connector was actually like that from before and it's actually the problem. It seems to have its lock here. So I don't know why it's not going in. The connectors themselves, the pins look fine. I just need to press it in all the way. So let me do that off camera because I need two hands, and then I'll come back and oh, actually there, it has clicked. Nice. So let's go back and do our test again. Pump the brakes 40 times and then turn the key on and see what reading we're going to get from the sensor here. All right, let's begin the pump up again. That's it, 40. Key on. Well, this time it's doing something a bit different. It's pumping up, then letting go. And I've noticed our ABS light is now out. Look at that, beautiful. The switch is off, or is it on? I think it's on, which means we have built hydraulic pressure. Wonderful. Let's now start the vehicle. And now when we pump up the brakes, we should be able to turn the hydraulic pumps on like that. I've just done one push. So let me show you on the brake. And the brake feels very nice and solid. And we are maintaining pressure. All right, very good. Now the question is, was that the problem, or was that done by the technician who reinstalled that hydraulic module? Right now it's late. As you can see, it's completely nighttime, and I cannot test drive this thing on my own. I do not drive the cars when I come to this garage. I need the owner to drive it for me. So it's Friday night right now. I'm going to come back tomorrow if I can, and we're going to go on a drive and now try and duplicate the issue that he said when you're driving, the brakes are fine, and then haphazardly you hear a buzz and then the brakes become hard. We'll pick up this tomorrow. All right, we're here next day. I told the owner of the shop to take this thing on a test drive and see if he can duplicate his original concern. What he told me is he was about to pull out and the brake started buzzing and the ABS light came on. So at that point I told him, don't touch it, put it back, and I will come and look at it. So let's verify first. There you can see ABS is on, and this time there's not a buzz but an alarm of some sort in the dash. So let me quickly set up my text stream and we're going to scan this thing, see what codes are in there. And quickly just checking these connectors, they're all tight, none of them is out. But I do notice a peculiar thing. My level is really high and it's even overflowed. I don't know what that's about. TextStream is running, and one thing I like about TextStream is its ability to auto update in real time. So we're going to put the car on. We're going to wait for that fault. And there we go, real time. Code 1256. Accumulator low pressure. Let me start the car. So right now we should be pumping that accumulator up, and we're not doing it. Let me step on the brake. And that brake is rock hard. Okay, so brake is hard, no accumulator action, and we have accumulator low pressure. Let's pull up what that code definition is from the service manual and see where to proceed with this. Before looking up that code definition, how about looking at some live data? I just want to see if we can get any direction from it. Let me start the car again. There's our code. Let's go to the data list. We're going to look at all the data PIDs. Oh, interesting. Look at this. ECU IG power voltage too low. Well, that will do it. Stoplight is off. Let me hit the brake. On. Yeah, it's detecting. Solenoid relay is on, but HB motor relay is off. That's interesting. So why is it saying ECU IG power voltage too low? There's only two power supplies here. So we've got one coming from this IG fuse, ECU IG1, on that black and white wire, and the second one coming from 7.5 amps ignition fuse on this black and red wire on IG2. So let me probe IG1 and IG2 and we see what our voltages are. There are our two power supplies, channel 1 IG1, channel 2 IG2. Alright, let's start the scope. And then we're going to turn on the car. Keys on. And we have power on both those two terminals. So there's nothing wrong with our power feed. Now I am interested to see our grounds. So let me look up the grounds and probe them. So there are my grounds: GND1, GND2, GND3, and GND4. We start the scope and put the key on, and what it looks like on the red, it looks like I don't have anything on the red. I've paused it and I don't see any activity on the red. So let me see if I'm probed in nicely. Let me start the scope again, put the key on. All right, now I wasn't probed in nicely. Okay, so we have all our powers and all our grounds at the control module. So what is it looking for? Let me just go back to the wiring diagram very quickly. We have a monitored power supply on these two relays. So when these relays are turned on, the power supply is monitored. So it goes to the motor over here, but it's also monitored on MT. That should tell me that power is coming in from our two relays here. So let me go to MT, and that is pin number 2, that black and red wire, and I will also monitor the relay turn on MR1 and MR2. And what I want to see is my MT go high if at all we get a command for these relays to turn on. There were connections: MR1 relay control, MR2 relay control, and MT motor power sense. Let's put the key on. Keys on. Key off. Let's pause that. And what we can see is that we are getting power down to our relay. Let me separate these two out. Yep, we are getting power to our motor, 12 volts, but I'm not hearing my motor spin up. I don't like where this is going. So let's go back to the wiring diagram. All right, I am getting power on MT sense line, which means these two lines are getting power, but I don't hear my motor spin up. I need to hear that motor. So next, what I want to do is to get another line and probe it on MT positive. This side of the motor is meant to be 0 volts at all times, including when this motor is spinning, both when this motor is spinning and when it's not, because we are connected to ground. See that here? So I need to see a ground here at all times. Let me go on this side and probe it on the ECU. Alright, I've added the MT positive, which is supposed to be the motor ground. Let's start the scope. Scope has started, and Put the key on. Let's pause. And we have a ground. So this motor has got both power and ground, but it is not spinning. Wow, this doesn't look good for this motor. I think we have a bad hydraulic brake booster unit, and that motor has failed inside there. Let me go and smack on it a bit and see if this motor will kick on, but yeah, that is our issue. Alright, we have a confirmed bad hydraulic unit. This whole thing is one unit, and the control module inside here has failed. So what I want to do is to smack on it while the key is on, and then see if that motor will kick on. But that's the problem with it. It's actually a failed hydraulic motor inside here. Let me try smacking on it. Let me try and see if I can get it to do anything. Oh, there we go. We've started. Now we're building pressure. But as you can hear, the problem is this unit itself. So I think, oh yeah, the motor is in here. So the motor is not here. I thought the motor was inside here. No. The motor is in this unit. I don't know if you can just get this unit alone. Let's see. So let it build pressure, and then the warning should just go off on its own. And as it's going, I can see the liquid level is dropping here. Alright, well, that's confirmed. Bad hydraulic control unit. So we either change this unit itself, or we change the whole thing. That's it, another one for the books. Until next time.